Hello and welcome to another carp fishing video. My name's Brian Pollard, aka F1 Pit Pass, and today's video is a vlog regarding yesterday's carp fishing trip on Morndyke fisheries. Morndyke fisheries, renowned for some of the hardest fighting carp in Yorkshire. Sizes of carp that I've caught in the past range from between 8 to 13. Little did I know today I was going to better it, but more of that later. As is my usual plan of attack, I checked out the weather forecast. All sunny, hopefully lots of carp on the top, all wanting some tiger bread. So, up at 5, out at 6, at the lake, and set up round about 7. There was nobody else at the lake at that point, so I could have chose any peg I wanted. I decided on my favourite peg 24, as that served me very well in the past. I was tempted to go to peg 14 on the boardwalk, but because it was forecast to be such a sunny day, and I've baked in the sun many times at Morndyke, I chose to sit in a shady peg, that is peg 24. The peg has a lovely holding area, overhanging tree, and the carp turn up in numbers. The pegs at Morndyke are set on platforms out over the lake, so you're already in a depth of round about 3 foot at your feet. But there are margins to either side, and the tree on my right hand side are classed as a margin feature. As I arrived, I decided to set up a pole with tiger bread free lined and a rod with a method feeder and spam on a hair rig out in the centre of the lake. Both of these methods have served me well on past visits, so I didn't see why it would be any different today. In fact, the first fish caught was on a method feeder and spam on a hair rig. Polefish tiger bread worked slower than usual under the tree, so there was some work needed to be done to stimulate interest. I even took dog biscuits. I'm not overly fond of casting out vast quantities of bait and hoping the carp eventually take yours, one amongst many. But I took some just to see how it was going to work. And indeed, the carp, when I threw the dog biscuits in at my feet, on the right hand margin, they were pack-manning and hovering up all of the dog biscuits. There was a surface drift that was taking all of my bait to my right hand side, and that wasn't going to be any good, as I was just feeding the next bay along, and I did hear the carp chomping away later, and then a new friend turned up, Dan, and he fished in the corner peg, so another reason not to throw in any bait that would be blown out of my peg and into his. So I never pursued the packman side of carp fishing. I caught a few carp on the spam out in the lake and under the tree, but nothing to write home about. Then it went quiet round about 12 o'clock. The afternoon was very quiet, with only one or two carp caught around the lake. I did my normal walkabout just to see what the lake was looking like from all perspectives. Chatted to a few anglers, and the general consensus was most had caught, most had lost one or two, and it had gone quiet, as I found, round about 12ish. This didn't faze me. I knew it would come back on late afternoon, early evening, and it would be bumper session just before packing up time. It's happened every time I've been there. But, like a lot of lakes, most of the anglers are gone by the time the carp turn on, and maybe that's why the carp turn on. Watching the anglers at various pegs opposite me and adjacent to me and around the lake, saw various styles, various gear, and there was some effective and some non-effective. The ones on light gear were having great fun. The ones on big carp gear were also catching, but not so much fun, in my view. Features like the aerator were certainly attracting carp, and margins around the lake were also turning up carp. There's a whole mindset around margin fishing. It's committing a rod to somewhere that looks so same as everywhere else and not far out. Why, oh why should you commit a rod to somewhere so indiscriminate as a margin bush? Well, that's where the carp live, that's where the carp travel throughout the day at most lakes. It's a brave man that commits a rod most of the day to a margin. As carp anglers, we like to cast to the horizon, aim for that target which is almost unreachable, a feature, whatever. Or if you're opposite somebody, it may well be fishing to the very edge, halfway across, so you're not in somebody else's swim, but you're at the limit of yours. Well, I had nobody across from me. I had the aerator rope to my left, dividing the lake, and in a way this gives me a clear boundary of where I can fish if I want to fish out in the lake. I did cast free line tiger bread out in the lake later in the day, and it did pick up one or two fish, but nowhere near the amount that I was expecting. Wildlife, well, there is a squadron of ducks and they do like bread. I only lost one piece of bread due to one duck. There's always one in every squadron that's brave or foolhardy, and you have to watch free line bait all the time when you're fishing on the surface. So all in all, the ducks were wise to my rig, which, as you know, always has the hook on the top of the tiger bread when it's floating in the surface of the lake. So it's a visual deterrent for any wildlife. They see it and turn away. But as I say, in every squadron there's always one, and it only takes one to simulate the rest. So beware of floating baits out in the lake if your mind wanders or you took your eye off the game. The margins and close-in fishing, when I say close in, I mean close in, within 10-15 foot of the end of the peg, came alive in the late afternoon and early evening. And when I put the video on of the day, you'll see that there was some quite interesting takes. So, enough of my waffling on. Let's have a little look at the videos I took, both from the peg and even some underwater stuff. Here we go. Fishing the pole under the tree, it takes a knot gentle. The water can literally boil. The size of the tiger bread attracts them, and it's their challenge to eat it any way they can. Going smaller can catch a carp, but it doesn't have the same attraction. Out in the lake is also good for runs, but if there's any surface wind that's chopping up the water, it can be hard to see. So you have to rely on bite alarms or your rod tip nodding, and that means concentrating solely on your rod that's out in the lake. It was my target yesterday to capture underwater footage of carp, and carp taking the bait. I managed the first one, I didn't manage the second one, but that's work for the future. But I did manage to get some footage just after the carp had taken. So that was interesting and intriguing. carp did turn up, not in great numbers, but certainly close to double figure in numbers. Here's some of my carp from the day. All hard fighting, and I mean hard fighting, both on rod and pole. And I topped it off with this beauty. 13.5 pound of Morndyke Carp. Beautiful fish, beautiful condition. The tail, when it was in the unhook and cradle, tried to slap me quite a few times. It had some power, so taking that selfie photo so I can remember it was a challenge, but a challenge that I relish. It topped off a day. I was out to bait, out to tiger bread, that's what I mean, out to bait. The fishery was closing, so it was time to go. Overall, lessons learned, new friends made, a social occasion again, walking the lake and chatting to people, different points of view, different attitude, some positive, some negative, and some in between. Anglers old and young, and I definitely fit in the old category. But I love it at Morndyke, and it's a place I'll continue to revisit when I want a leisurely day catching some of the hardest fighting carp in Yorkshire. Thanks for watching.